Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up Sis podcast. This is the place where everyday women and men have an opportunity to share their stories in order to inspire you to share yours. We say what you think no one wants to hear, but everybody needs to know. I'm your host, Angel Charmaine. Tonight, everybody, is a special night. This is a historical night for Speak Up Sis podcast. This is the first segment of Encouraging Experts. It is also the very first segment that I have a co-host. Yay! And I'm really, really excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her into the building, Miss Charnell Williams. How are you doing, sis?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited. This is our first show, or first episode.
It's our first show together. So yes. The people shouldn't be...
we shouldn't be strangers.
We shouldn't be strangers to them.
Right? They should know us.
Yes, because you have actually been here several times now. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really excited that we get to share space every third Monday.
Yes. Please subscribe and on YouTube and hit the bell notification so you will get alerted every time we go live.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, you already know I don't like to jaw jack.
Right.
We don't do no jaw jacking on Speak Up Sis podcast because we talk about good stuff up in here. We want to make sure that our guests have ample time to share their stories. And tonight, we got a juicy topic. What you think?
Man, we... Okay. I won't say anything. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce someone who is very, very, very special to me. Aww. We've been friends for years, decades, I don't know, a long time. But she's here, and I want to introduce the world to her. My best friend, Jennifer Jones.
Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much.
She waving at the people. She's good at this already. So you all may remember in some previous episodes, I was giving this woman named Jennifer a shout out who's in the studio. We finally got her to come and sit on the platform with us tonight. So
excited.
Welcome. Will you share a little bit about who you are with the people?
Sure. So by day, I'm a corporate recruiter with an amazing company. Some of you may have heard at Google. And so in my spare time, I spend time talking to really people trying to help them get to the goals that they have set for themselves for not only their careers, but their personal lives. But I'm also the host of the Genuine Life podcast as well, which is a lifestyle audio series where we just talk about living our lives genuinely.
That's what's up. We're all about being genuine and authentic up in here. So you fit.
We don't do the phony.
We don't do no phony. That's what's up. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer. I'm going to let you best friend. Thank you. Go ahead, best friend.
Thank you, Jennifer. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. all the feels.
Yes, all the feels. And so I have the honor and the privilege of welcoming Mr. Ron Godfrey to Speak Up Sis podcast. Thank you so much for coming into the space. Ron is both an actor. We got actors up in here, y'all. We told him to don't be up in here acting today. He need to be himself today. We don't want Denzel today. We want Ron, right? So he's both an actor as well as an author. And may I see yours? Because I put mine down. Yes, so we all got gifts.
We did.
We got gifts of Crying Out in the Dark, which is Ron's autobiography. So thank you for gifting us. Welcome to Speak Up Sis podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a privilege and honor to be here.
That's what's up. So tell the people a little bit about you.
By day and night.
I got kind of scared with that day and night thing. Roxanne! You don't have to turn on the red light.
Wow. I'm an actor. Been acting now for about 10 years. I'm also a author, as you can see. My book just released in December.
Congratulations.
And I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm the CEO of my own clothing line.
That's
it's
what's
called
up.
Grind and Conquer Activewear.
That's
Nice.
what's up.
Also
yeah.
launched in December.
Man, December was a hot month for
Right.
you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That is what's up. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So tonight we're going to talk about mental health.
Oh,
So let's get started because we don't have that much time, right?
Our time goes by so quickly because we start just tearing it up in here, right?
I'm ready. And
So-
it's a lot to talk about.
Right.
It is.
So please submit your questions, your comments. We're monitoring this time, and I am on YouTube, so I will be responding and answering questions and addressing it to the panel as well. So I want to talk about or get started with as far as mental health. It's a big subject now. A lot of people are talking about mental health and how it affects them personally, even in workplace and business. So I wanted to get your perspectives on mental health and what are your thoughts about it and how do you deal with it?
So I think it's important to also talk about how layered mental health is. Because I think initially we've had, for a long time, an image of what someone who's quote unquote crazy looks like. It's always, the serial killer or someone that has outwardly shown
right.
that there's I don't want to say something wrong, but it's easy to label something that we can see.
Yeah, the crazy lady with the whiskers on
And
her
the 50
chin that
cats,
be
yeah.
talking crazy, pushing the
cart down the
Piggly
street.
Wiggly cart. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Got you.
But I think why it's so important to me and why I've taken such a stand on people really prioritizing their mental health is because when people saw me or anyone, you would never imagine that, I'd be up all night long because I couldn't sleep due to racing thoughts or I'm trying to put a face to what mental health looks like because
Right.
we don't have an image. It literally could be your sister sitting right next to you and you have no idea that
Right.
they're having the darkest of nights. And those are the dangerous ones
Right.
to me,
Right.
who can cover it up really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ron?
of course. It's funny that she said all that because I touch on these issues in my book. First of all, mental health does not get enough attention.
I can agree.
Until it's something drastically happens.
Right.
And then it's too late, obviously.
Right.
And like Jen just said, for a depressed person, I went through depression. And I had a way of being able to camouflage how I felt. I've had the sleepless nights. I had the outburst and crying and not knowing why.
Wait a minute. So you mean men cry?
Oh, listen, real men cry.
Okay. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
know,
true.
and it was uncontrollable at times, and then sometimes I had anger. My depression never resulted into like eating or anything like that. I've had my suicidal thoughts
Oh, wow.
and everything. And I write about it in my book, so it's very real. Now, I mean, it's there's so many people that's dealing with mental health right now. You don't even know it.
Yep.
Right.
We're walking among millions of people daily
Yep.
Right.
that are suffering with depression or anxiety, and you don't know it.
Right. And here's the thing. Many of them don't know it.
Right.
Right.
That's the
And I
Right.
think that's kind of what's tricky is because mental health, especially, and I think we can feel very confident in talking about the Black community. 'Cause we Black,
Absolutely.
just in case y'all can't tell by our voices. We Black folk, and in our community, mental health awareness is something that is relatively new.
Yeah.
For us to actually talk about it. Let's say that. Not that it's new for us to have mental health challenges, but for us to actually own it.
Right.
And to say it's okay to own it and to deal with it. So tonight, what we really want to delve into, because like you said, it's layered. There's so much we could talk about.
Yeah.
But because this is Encouraging Experts, and here we talk to entrepreneurs and business owners. And so we want to talk about how mental health affects entrepreneurship and what that looks like.
Yes.
And how you deal with it.
And how do you deal with it?
Because it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's very heavy. And I know the first thing that comes to my mind is we live in a world where, social media is running things.
Mm-hmm.
And, something that I was thinking about was how these two tie into each other. And if you don't take care of your mental health, it will seep out and through into your business.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought is, even if a customer says something that is a trigger for you,
right,
you're losing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you can't do, But then I think about the entrepreneurs who maybe are running a business that is a brand, right?
Uh-huh.
Where you may not have a customer, but you have the
image.
Pressures
Right.
of watching someone else on social media that looks like they're doing better than you.
Right.
And now you're in your head, especially
Right.
if you have anxiety. Now that's a rabbit hole you may not come out of for a couple of days.
Right. So can we slow down a little bit? And because I've listened to the Genuine Life podcast. By the way, if you all haven't listened to Jen's podcast, y'all need to check it out. It's actually pretty dope. And you talk about your challenges with anxiety. Do you mind sort of explaining to people a little bit about what anxiety, because I think we say it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe people don't even really know what is anxiety, what that looks like.
I actually had no idea what it was. And I had lived that way for so long that I actually thought it was normal for people to think about something all day long, or think about it or repeat it 50 times in their minds, or create a scenario of something that may or may not even happen, but it would prevent them from doing something. Like, I didn't know that fell under the umbrella of anxiety, And so I think for me, anxiety is really, to sum it up and make it very, very simple, and I just want to quote, I am not a doctor or anything, okay? This is just what I've learned throughout my journey. But the way that I sum it up is really just creating a world that hasn't even existed, like it doesn't exist yet.
Wow. And it may never exist,
ever,
right?
Ever. And so for a while, you're literally living in this bubble that you've created that may or may not happen. And most of the time it's negative. It's always the what if, but then you always have to ask yourself, but what if again, like on the positive side of things, but you just don't do that. You don't.
Right.
And that is how I've summed up anxiety for me.
I think that's a good explanation. How you doing, Quincy Shelton Q? He is the host of the Talk to Q podcast. How you doing on Facebook? Thank you for joining us. So cool. Just to let you all know, Charnell is manning YouTube, so you all can chat it up over there. And I'm holding down Facebook. So if you all have comments, questions, you can just throw them in the chats. We're going to be monitoring them tonight. Okay? So, Ron, do you want to add anything to the anxiety piece? But you said you dealt more with depression. So what did that look like for you?
Very dark. I've had situations in my life where, it was like being in a dungeon. And in that dungeon, it was dark, wet, grimy, with this like the stench of death, and it was very lonely until I decided, I wasn't going to live in that area of my life anymore. You know what I mean? I didn't go to counseling. I didn't, take any medicine, and for those that, need that, fine. It's there for you. You know what I mean? But for me, what I needed to do was just talk. I needed to talk more than anything. And I found that when I was writing my book, there were times when I would have to stop writing because I got so upset because I was reliving everything. You know what I mean? It's like my book dates back to when I'm like 5 or 6 years old up until my adult years. So imagine I'm going all the way back and I'm reliving
that trauma.
I'm reliving everything by my writing, you know, but it was at the same time therapeutic.
Right.
So, you know, it has its ups and its downs to it. But depression is very real. And I find that in the black community, when it comes to black men, there are a lot of us out there that are dealing with it, but are scared to talk about it because of the stigma.
Now, who did you talk to?
I talked to friends.
Okay.
And I was very careful with it, you know, because the information that you're sharing is very sensitive.
Right.
Very sensitive information. And you don't want to put it in the ears of everybody.
Right.
Because you never know. They could unconsciously start talking about you and mention something you said and go back and say, and whoever's listening will go back and tell somebody else.
Right.
And then your information is out there.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you don't know what kind of end result is going to, you know, come up. You know, it may be so detrimental. Like, hey, I can't take the embarrassment, so I'm going to, you know,
Right.
unfortunately, you know what I mean? So you just have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Very careful.
Right.
So how do you think entrepreneurs fall into that? Charnell, you've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, probably far longer than the rest of us, right? How do you think we get to that place of being anxious or overly anxious or even depressed? Because we're talking about, usually when you hear entrepreneurs talk, they're following their dreams, they got vision, they're passionate, right? And so I think it's almost oxymoronic that a person who is following their dreams and doing what they love can turn around and say, I'm depressed. How do you think that even starts to develop?
It's like Jennifer said, there's so many layers to it. So yeah, you have dreams, but it's a journey to get there. You're going to experience a lot of obstacles, and depending on your personality, your mental state, how you handle those things, because there are going to be times when you don't succeed or things don't go the way you planned. And depending on the type of person you are, it can hit you hard. And it can bring you to a state that makes you depressed or you're anxious because you're working so hard and I put so much energy into this, and because as soon as I go live, I should have thousands of people follow me. And then they beat themselves up over that.
The expectations sometimes are crazy.
Right. And
That's
then
very
that's
true.
you have to figure out, I mean, what works for everyone is different, right? Some people, I know in the black community, a lot of us say, okay, just talk to God, go to God.
Pray it away.
And I mean, I talk to God. I
Right.
believe in God.
Right.
But what if a person doesn't know God? What if they are so down that they can't talk to God?
Right.
They don't know how to talk to God. They
That's
don't
where
have a
I was.
relationship with God.
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, other aspects, some people, the medication works great, you know, for them. It gets them out of that funk. That gives them that boost that they need to thrive and do what they need to do. And then, you know, like Ron said, talking, you know, like having that outlet and talking to people that you genuinely trust, who
Right.
genuinely care and love you. That's key.
Part of the issue, I know for me, I have not dealt with depression as an entrepreneur. However, I've gotten pretty sad, and I think that we've got to make sure that we understand there's a distinction.
Oh, it's a big difference.
There's a huge difference in being sad and being depressed. However, continual sadness will lead you down the rabbit hole, right?
Yep.
And I have been, even as an entrepreneur, in spaces where, like Ron, I couldn't talk because what I do, I'm a life strategist. I help people make it happen in their lives. I help people do things they think they can't do. I help people do it afraid until they can do it brave. And So I can't go to those people and tell them, today I'm feeling real, so I think for me that lends itself, that's like ripe for falling into a place of depression, because you'll find yourself being isolated.
Absolutely.
And that's when you find that network of people that you can talk to, right? So although you are an encourager, you need to be encouraged as well.
Absolutely.
Although you are a coach, you need a coach as well.
Absolutely.
You need that safe space.
You have to.
And that's what you have to make sure you have. You can still encourage people, but someone needs to encourage you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to make sure you find that right tribe of people
For sure.
that can help you and love on you when you need it.
Right.
And who will give you the space when you need it. Because I think that's super important too. I have a really good friend of mine who was excellent about that. Like, she knew if she called and I didn't answer, she just would send me a text. Let me know if you need anything. 'Cause
Right.
I would be in these funks that would last, week or two. Just blind shut. Food was my thing. And just dark. Just very dark. So I am an advocate for meds.
Okay. So let's get into this. I was waiting on Jennifer to pop that out there, because
She got it out there.
she got it out there, and we've been. This is a conversation I really want to have. Aaron Nixon, how you doing, brother? He is on Facebook. He says that was a great explanation of anxiety that helped me to better understand as I look back at myself as to what I could have been going through. So
That's awesome.
That's what's up. How you doing, Dana Jackson? Good evening to you. So Jennifer,
Yes.
we want to hear about the medication, because we don't do no medication.
We don't. And that is why I was in the place I was in for as long as I was, because I kept hearing go to church, and I would go, but I would always, it did nothing for me. I was in that place in my life where it didn't matter anymore. Like, nothing was getting to me.
Right.
And I was just, because I'm also an empath, I'm also an encourager. And so I was gravitating toward these titles that other people gave me. I love your energy when you're around. Oh my gosh, you're so positive. So I could not go out in the way that I was. So I just stayed in the house. I had also had other things. I had gone through a divorce. I moved 4 times in like 2 years.
I lost count.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's why I looked at him. I was like, what you gonna say?
Ron, like, I don't know how many times you moved.
A lot. And I think we underestimate what all of these life changes can do to us. And that's exactly what happened to me. And it got to the point where anything had to be better than what I was doing. Because I'm a journaler. I go to church, I pray. But I was running out of things to say.
So I listened to an episode of your podcast where you shared how you got to the place of using medication.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, please share with our listeners a little bit about what the anxiety looked like for you, because as I listened to you, I was like, that is like,
It's painful.
yeah, and honestly, some of it, I found myself thinking, was it that bad? Like, was it like, I mean, is that, so you find yourself trying to sort of determine, was that something that was it that bad or was it not? And I think sometimes we do that to ourselves. Absolutely. Not just listening to other people's stories, but you're going through it yourself and you're going, this isn't that bad, or maybe this is normal, or maybe it's not. Or, so if you will, please share some of the things that was going on in your head that people may be able to identify and maybe connect with.
I would love to. And I think just to piggyback off of what you
Go
just
ahead.
said too, I think it's so super important for people not to attach what they would do or what they think someone should do through listening to their story.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because what works for one, like Charnell mentioned, is I'm telling you, I was so far away from taking meds my parents were terrified when I told them because we don't take medication.
Right.
But what was happening was after my divorce, there were some things said about like how I looked and my weight. And then when I started dating again and people weren't really approaching me, I was starting to correlate what was said about me to how other people saw me. So that's really kind of where it started. So with that, instead of for me, I stayed in the house. So it was the year of the Instacarts, getting Amazon Prime. Everything was getting delivered, and I was staying home. It was just easier that way. And then the thoughts started coming, and it would be something as simple as, like, I wouldn't move my car because I didn't want somebody to take my parking space. Because if they took parking space, that meant they were disrespecting me because they knew I parked in that space all the time. But this is exactly what we're going.
She's serious.
I'm very serious.
I'm listening to it, and I was like, is she serious?
Very serious.
And she does not play about the parking space.
I don't, because I do think you should. Yeah, that's I'm still working. But yeah, so I wouldn't drive. I would have my stuff delivered just so that I would feel like I could control something.
So that someone else wouldn't take your parking space because you thought they were trying to get, like...
See, for me, it was beyond the parking space. It was, they're being disrespectful. They know I park here every day. And it just started to trigger things that I didn't even know. Things I thought I had healed from.
Wow.
From back in high school.
So then you just decided, I'm just going to stay home so I can control this, but you're not going to get to me by my parking space.
You're not.
Wow.
And then anger was a huge issue. I would be out. Ask Charnell. We would be out. I couldn't even enjoy myself. I'm bothered by how many people are in the restaurant, how crazy people are driving through the parking lot. So it was like anything where I could not control the environment would drive me nuts, would drive me crazy. Then the racing thoughts led to insomnia. It was nothing for me to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but maybe hit the bed around 4. And then I was starting work. If anyone works in the tech space, there's not like a 9 to 5 schedule, so I can get in when I want to. But I was clocking in at like 10:30, 11
p.m.
Well, afternoon.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Not that late. But yeah, so it just, I had no routine. And then I would literally wake up, go from my bedroom to my living room, and just start working, and then eat, and then go to sleep. So there was no kind of life, no kind of routine. But I was like living, but not alive,
Right.
So that's where I said, I was just scrolling on Instagram, and this company called Cerebral popped up. And I said, they were running a special. And I was like, well, at this point, I have nothing to lose. And it was, what I loved about it was all over like a telehost. So I didn't have to leave my house.
Gotcha.
And I would get a therapist for 30 minutes. And then depending on my assessment, they determined if I should go on medication. And they did. So I have a happy pill that I take every morning that I love so much.
That look on your face.
It's just divine. Because, because depression is chemical. And I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, I'm telling you, and I'm being very honest. I'd be in the bed 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
Straight, no shower.
Wow.
Because I just had no energy. For what? Right. And that's real.
And so the medication has been, I remember you got a little cocktail that works for you.
I do.
So, okay. Now, Ron, on the other hand.
What's up?
Ron was like,
see how she called my name, Ron?
Listen, you can't go to sleep up in here because
I'm not going to sleep.
I'm going to wake you up. Ron was like, no, medication's not for you. So can you give us your perspective on?
Of course. Let me tell you something. With me, I had a situation that happened, and like I lost 50 pounds in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I wonder if I need that kind of situation.
No, you don't.
I don't need that kind of. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all.
I lost about 50 pounds in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I didn't want to eat. I didn't come out my room. Only time I came out the room is to, go to the restroom, and maybe eat a little bit, but full meals wasn't happening. I felt worthless because it seemed like nothing I did mattered or, you know, made a difference. You know, so I started feeling like, you know, what am I even here for? Why am I here? What's my purpose?
And this is while you're acting and you're working and you're doing the entrepreneurial thing and you're still feeling worthless.
My next book that I'm writing now is called Crying Out in the Dark 2, Surviving the Storm. Because while I am, you know, putting the finishing touches on this book and putting together my clothing line, I'm riding through this storm. And all the while, I was becoming or had become an eagle.
Okay.
Because if you know anything about what an eagle does not avoid a storm. He instead flies above it as opposed to other birds.
Right.
They try to avoid it. But, you know, and I have to say it, God was the wind beneath my wings.
Okay.
I just got to say it.
Got you.
You know, I didn't want to take medication because I was afraid. 'Cause
I think that's legitimate.
Absolutely.
And I'm diabetic.
Okay.
So I was like, oh God, you know, what is it going to do to my body? You know, what is it going to make me, whatever, you know? So I just said, no, I'm not going to, you know, take the medication. I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to write about it and I'm going to be fine. You know, putting the clothing line together, like you said, you know, you're looking online and you're seeing all of these other, you know, brands out there and like, you know, man, I want mine to do that.
Right.
Once I launched it, you know, I'm figuring that I know all these people. I know I'm going to get the support and that. And I'm sitting there watching like, when y'all going to buy a shirt?
Right.
When y'all going to buy a book? You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm like, what?
Right.
You know,
those
I got
expectations.
5,000 I have 5,000 followers on Facebook. 5,000. That's the max.
Right.
And only got 200 people to buy my book on my shirt. But you know what? Then I said, you know what? I thank God for those 200
Right.
or those 10 that did buy.
Right.
Yep.
Because, you know, I'm trusting God that it's going to increase. And,
Right.
and eventually it started increasing. So,
Yeah.
you know, hey, it just takes time. But, you know, I did the church. I go to church now. I still go to church. I still rely on the Lord. But there are times when I have to fall back on my friend. And I have to mention his name, if you don't mind, Mr. Cecil Henry.
Hey, Mr. Cecil.
Mr. Cecil Henry, that's my ace, you know, fellow actor, retired Army, Lieutenant Colonel. He was there for me.
Okay.
Through the thick and thin. I mean, he was to the point where, hey, you know, you need to get to my house now. You sound like you're getting ready to snap. I'm going to stay on this phone with you while you pack your bag.
Right.
Make sure you're on that road before you do something crazy.
Yep.
And, I mean, he helped me rehabilitate.
So let me ask this.
Ask.
Who initiated the talk? Because I think we can tell people to go talk, but if you're in a place of depression,
Yeah.
if you're already in a place of dealing with anxiety or any other type of mental health type of challenge you're dealing with, to say go talk to someone, more than likely they're not just going to do that. Did you initiate with him or did he reach out to you?
What happened, I was in a situation where, like I said, I needed somebody to talk to. And I remember grabbing my phone. Now, at this time, we hadn't talked on that level, ever.
Oh, wow.
We had never talked on that level. The only thing we did, we was, you know, acting colleagues on set. That's it. But when I went for my phone, and his name just popped up. And I said, Cecil, I need to talk to you, man. I didn't get a whole sentence out. And he's like, you know what? Stop. Get a bag, pack it right now, get to my house now.
Wow. That, to me, those are those divine.
I was just going to say the same.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
Because they know, you know. I think people, especially when they've been in your presence, and I think to go back off of what you said too earlier, you know, when people are looking to you to be the encourager, it's hard to find someone to talk to. Because I can't get on my podcast like, y'all, life sucks. Right? I mean, I can. But I'm
Genuine no.
because I really want people to walk away from listening to my episodes feeling empowered. But like, I wasn't doing that for myself. And that's what led to answer your question about who initiates it. I know in my case, I was just tired. I knew my life was bigger than waking up and just sitting at that desk. I knew that. And so that's really where the meds came in for me.
Okay.
So I want to talk about your lives after you've quote unquote healed or going through the healing process. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge our people on YouTube.
Okay.
So I want to say hello to Tashura.
Hi.
And she is saying, she had the same experience when writing, when you were talking about writing was therapeutic. And she was saying she shared that same experience.
Okay. And what's your name again?
Tashura.
Tashira. How you doing, Tashira?
And she's also said the people you know will be the main ones that don't support you, unfortunately.
Yep, I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I got to go through the list. We got a bunch of people.
Go, I'm telling you.
This is good.
Jay Real from ATL, he was telling everyone to share, so make sure you share.
Share.
This, episode. And Raphael, the living legend, was dropping by to show Angel some love.
What's going on? Raphael, what's happening? Thank you, brother.
And Kajoya, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, but she says thank you for the transparency, and so many people suffer in silence, and she says she loves the title.
Yeah.
That's what's up. And we've got Dana over here. She says a lot of people of color have trust issues and have issues in telling their stories. A lot of times in community mental health, you're having to tell your story over and over again. She says online therapy is now more common because of COVID. Dana makes a really good point. And I don't know about you all, but I remember, don't be taking our business out the door.
Yep.
Right.
What going on in this house
Stays
in this house.
That's
right? And we grow up with that. And even as adults, and it's my house,
You need to keep everything in.
you still want to keep everything in.
And that's part of the problem.
Oh, And God bless her. My mom's a nurse. Had a fit when I told her I was going on.
Oh, wow. And she's a nurse.
She's a nurse. Jennifer, no, you don't need that. But I do, because she had the same thought you did. Is it that bad? But see, that's when you know. I was just really good at hiding it. My mother had no idea I ate 100 popsicles in a weekend. I told you that story.
I heard that story. Yeah, I was like 100 popsicles.
How'd you know it was 100? It's like it said it on the box.
Y'all, when I was like, girl, did you count? The 100, she was like, I instead of saying I ate the box of popsicles, I ate 100. But that is what it will do to you.
Oh yeah.
But see, it was different with me though. Now you ate 100.
Yeah.
To even smell it for me was like, man. And I love ice cream and all that kind of stuff, and even different food started it wasn't doing it for me.
Right.
Now I'm like, I'm not eating nothing.
Yeah, see.
That's what it did for me.
I didn't have
reverse.
that.
So what can people do? Because here's the thing, and I think this is where Charnell was coming in. You said you wanted to ask them a question about the healing process.
Right. And I also wanted to know, how can someone, a friend or family member, help someone who is dealing with a mental issue?
Right.
And what are the signs? And what's the best approach? I know that's like 3 or 4 questions.
Please.
Okay. What I tell people is that some of the signs are withdrawal,
That's good.
eating, excessive eating or not eating, crying uncontrollably. Those are just some. As far as my healing, I kept myself busy, and then when I accepted the fact that, okay, I had this going on, I was a depressed person. And the best advice I can give people that are dealing with depressed people, if they want to talk, listen. Don't have a quick response. Because sometimes that quick response could be the wrong response.
Yep.
It could be a trigger.
It could be a
Big
trigger.
time.
So the best thing to do is, hey, I'm here if you want to talk. If you just need me to listen, I'll listen.
Yep.
And see, with me, I was telling people, I just want you to listen. Don't say nothing. So I'm giving you that directive.
Right.
Don't say nothing. Just let me talk.
Yep.
And I mean, it got to the point where I would scream, I would cry, and I would go off, but I felt better.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what worked for me.
I love it. I think for me, it's every single day, a conscious effort for me. It hasn't ended for sure.
Right.
I wake up every day and just choose not to go back to where I was. And, you know, I think going back to what was mentioned earlier about your why and your purpose, like now that I know why I'm here, or at least the reason why I feel like I'm here, it gives you purpose every morning to wake up. Like, you know what? I really can do this. Like, I'm okay. It's okay. And it's okay to be honest if I can't, you know? But also I think what's key is understanding and knowing your body and your triggers. Like, I know when I need a break.
Right.
I know when too many people are tugging on me at once. And I'm learning to, you know, communicate those boundaries and setting them so that my peace is there. And
Regardless if they get mad.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless,
I'm still kind of working
mad.
on that too.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
you cannot care.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
and as nice, you know, being nice as possible, you just can't care.
Right.
Right.
You really can't. And then when you tie that into entrepreneurship, there's so many things. You have to have, I think, having a routine is important. And knowing what my day looks like. But also getting back to the things that I love. I love crafting and I love hanging out, you know, with my friends. And so Charnell and I have a standing appointment every week.
That's good.
Which helps me more than I don't think she even knows. But it's like I can't miss this. So it makes me get up. It makes me, like, I literally have to set these things so that I don't stay in the bed all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's being very intentional with your day is how I've continued to heal.
Exactly.
I heard some experts talking on some show, who knows, about this losing the feeling of pleasure being an issue and getting to a place where once you were passionate about things, you had things that gave you pleasure that you enjoyed doing, and then you get to this place where you just can't find pleasure in anything. And I think it's important as entrepreneurs. Yes. Okay. All right. I think it's real toxic. This new entrepreneurial thing where you just gotta work, don't eat, don't sleep, work to the bone and work. You haven't earned the right to sleep.
Right.
You haven't earned the right. You haven't been working hard enough to, you better not have no sex with your man or your woman because you ain't earned no coochie yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, foolishness. And I mean, y'all, I know y'all have heard some of these extreme, like, you better not be up there laying up. You better get downstairs and get on that computer. It's work to be made, right?
Yep.
And I think that's a problem. I think part of the issue is that as entrepreneurs, we set these crazy expectations. And I've even said it. If your vision, if it doesn't make you cry, if it's not big, then it's not big enough. And I think sometimes we take that out of context or we take it to the extreme.
I think it's because of what we think other people expect of us.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we push until you stop doing the things that you enjoy.
Because it's not enjoyable anymore.
It's right, because now you're feeling guilty. How dare I be sitting here having a meal when I didn't sell any books this month.
Yep,
I need to be selling books, not eating dinner.
Right. Yep.
You don't get to eat till you sell a book,
Right.
But y'all know it's the truth.
Yeah,
and that is how we find ourselves in this place where we just are feeling hopeless.
Yep.
and life just has no meaning. And I thought that this was what I was supposed to be doing, but clearly it's not working. I just had a conversation with a friend, probably was yesterday or the day before. And I was like, you know what? I love to speak up to this thing, but I don't know if this thing working. I'm keeping it 100. I'm like, I don't know if it's working. And she was like, of course it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's like, of course it's working. And I'm like, yeah, I know somebody messaged me and said that, I was like little baby Jesus or something to them, but that's one person, right? And so it will take you into a place where you will lose the desire, the love, and all of those things. And bam, you'll find yourself, because in your heart, it's what you're supposed to do. But when you're not seeing the results and the time frame that you set, then it puts you in this place like, I know I'm not supposed to be doing anything else. So if I go do something else, I've given up on myself. But then if I stay here and it's not working, then I'm being stupid. And so, right? It's in your head.
And I think that's why I mentioned earlier the importance of really staying in your own lane. Mm-hmm. You cannot be concerned about what's happening to the right and to the left. Half the time, people on social media are scamming. Anyway,
right?
I mean, not everybody, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Many of them.
Be very careful about who we are following and who we're looking, quote unquote, looking up to. And I think that's why I mentioned this in that same episode. It's so important to be careful about what you listen to, what you're watching, and who you surround yourself with. I love investigation, discovery, and murder shows, but that led to crazy anxiety. I thought every time I stepped out the house, if somebody was down the same aisle as me, I'm thinking they're trying to kill me.
I actually laughed at that part of your podcast.
Yeah, and also quick tip, if you're ever at Walmart, they have an excellent camera system. I always park my car under the cameras, so just so you know.
I never even paid attention to the cameras.
Cameras from now on, okay?
Yeah, they're good.
Under
they
the
have
cameras.
an excellent system, security system.
My goodness. Okay. My goodness. So do you all have, what are some good, solid, tangible, everyday sorts of things that entrepreneurs can do to keep from, because I believe once you get to a place of depression, I'm talking about full-on depression and anxiety, you need some help. Right. You need somebody to talk to, whether it's counselor, friend, therapist, pastor, whomever, or medication or something. There's going to have to be something where you're going to have to involve someone else in it to help pull you out. So what can we share with people to help them from getting to that place?
Stop.
Yeah.
Just first of all, if it's getting to you that bad, first just stop, reset. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
How do you do that? What does that even mean?
Well, for me, like if I'm on my computer every day, either doing auditions or, checking with vendors on my product and everything like that. And if I'm getting aggravated because the vendors want too much money for their stuff, I'm like, you know what, let me just back away from this for a second.
Gotcha.
Get up and walk around or whatever, get on the phone, talk to my kids or whatever, throw something, whatever that's going to, make me feel better for the moment. Then I go back to it because now I've built up enough strength and stamina to, go back at it one more time.
Yep.
And then, I'm gonna approach it differently, because when my mind is all, crammed up from, the aggravation, I'm like, I have to approach it with of emotional content, not anger.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Definitely stop. I've learned to move much slower. Yeah. Someone else's emergency is not mine. And I think that was the biggest thing, is someone who wants to help everybody all the time. And I'm also a recruiter. And we're in a pandemic where people need jobs, and that's my job, and I can't help everybody. And that drives me crazy, I'm also an empath, so I can take on, I have to watch what I watch on TV, who I talk to, what I hear. And so when it's just too much, ask Charnell. I called her. I said, I can't. We were supposed to meet up, and I just couldn't. My house was a mess. Things were not in order. And I think having a routine and being organized can help you, because the easier you make your life, everything else can you'll have time for the things that you do enjoy, So I think that that's super important. But I totally agree. Stop. Just take a deep breath. Breathing exercises. Sometimes I'll just sit up and take a deep breath and move my head around.
You know what helped me a lot? This may sound strange to some, but maybe not. But when I was going through the deepest depths of my depression, you know what I did? There's a certain movie that I would always watch when I was going through something. The name of that movie was Passion of the Christ. And I would always jump to the part where they whipped Jesus. And I would say to myself, if he can sustain that, I can sustain what I'm going through.
Oh, Lord. I felt that, Mr. Actor. I felt that in my soul.
If he can go through being whipped with a leather whip that had sharp objects tied at the tip so they could rip his skin.
Okay. I'm not watching. I'm not finna watch that. If I'm depressed, I'm definitely not finna watch that. I'm finna pour a little liquor out for me and Jesus.
But if he can sustain being nailed to the cross,
right?
Let's use that.
I feel you.
If he can sustain that, and all he said was forgive them, but not stop, then I can go through what I'm going through,
right?
And make it.
He had to mentally prepare himself for that.
Yes,
because
you have to.
Yeah.
I don't see any other way. And I know he fasted and all that stuff, meditated before, but that's tough.
But I did the same thing though. When things got really rough, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Just the other night, 3:00 in the morning, I fell on my knees,
right,
and I was crying out like, "Lord, I need you now."
Right.
You know what I mean? And I felt better. So it does work.
Yeah, it does.
And I did get on the phone and call a friend. I'm like, hey, I'm going through this. This is what I'm going through. You know what I mean? And I feel better though. But you have to just stop, reset, and get yourself together. Go get you some water, walk outside.
Right.
Turn on the TV, watch Martin or something get something to make you laugh or
right.
make you feel better, and then go back to it.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
We've got a little bit of conversation over here. Sapphire Star, how you doing, cuz? It's my sister cousin. She says, I needed this. I love murder mystery, unsolved crimes also, but I have to stop myself from watching it. She says empath also, as well as INFJ personality.
Oh my God, me too.
Organized chaos, yes. Yeah. And so Sapphire Star is my sister cousin. We've been tight for a very long time, almost probably all of our lives. Well, I'm older than her, so all her life. And I'm telling you, I didn't even realize what was going on. It took I believe sometimes you don't know you're in the pit until someone comes to help lift you out. You don't even realize you were in the pit. And we got to a place where she was like, you do this every month, right? I was like, no, I don't. She's like, yeah, you do. Like Alice shows up and you just get crazy. And I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, yeah, you do. And so it took me a while to actually realize that I was out of whack, and let me say this as well. For me, I went to a doctor, and it wasn't a psychologist or it was a regular, my primary doctor. And a lot of times, because we're working so hard, we don't take care of ourselves physically. And so because you're not eating properly, you're not exercising, you're not doing these things, you can have hormonal imbalances, right? You can have all sorts of other things that are going on with your body that's affecting your mental state. So I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you don't skip over your schedule. Or telling somebody, you know what? I can meet you then, and canceling your doctor's appointment so that you can do something else. No, you've got to take care of your physical body as well.
That's right.
Yes. She says, I practice self-care religiously.
Yeah.
Not the liquor for you and Jesus. Yes. Some pour a little liquor for me and Jesus. So listen, everybody, this has been a wonderful conversation. So I'm going to put her out there because I can, because it's our show. Charnell was real quiet tonight.
I didn't want to interrupt.
No, ma'am. You get to interrupt this because our show. Our show. You get to be like, so, what you got to say about that over there? But I really appreciate you, Charnell. You did well tonight, sis. Yes, you held your own down there.
Love it.
Yes.
Yes, so I appreciate you. I do. So I'm gonna let you wrap the show up. How about that? How you feel about that?
Okay.
So how you want to let our guests have what you want to do? How you want to do it?
So, I'll start with Jennifer. Ladies first.
Okay.
Tell our viewers and listeners where they can.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they're best friends.
I'm biased. Let our listeners and viewers know where to find you and.
Okay, so I am always on Instagram. So you can find me at Genuine Life, and it's spelled JENNUINE Life. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you type in your corporate cousin, I should pop up there. And then my podcast, the Genuine Life podcast, it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those good things.
That's what's up.
Okay, Ron, you ready?
Oh, it's my turn?
She like, go on, head. Go on, Ron.
Okay. Might I hold a copy,
Sure.
please, of your book, please? Thank you. This is my book. You can find me on Instagram. Let me get it. Good. There you go. Instagram, I am Ron Godfrey. Facebook, Ron Godfrey. And to order a copy of my book, you can go to Amazon.com or my website, which is rongodfrey.com.
That's what's up, Ron. You held your own tonight with these three women. Like you had us drinking liquor, talking about Jesus, like falling out, crying in the middle of the night. Like you held your own, brother.
I'm gonna tell you what I did before I got here. I took some vitamins.
You better do some stamina.
I'm deal with 3 women on this panel. Oh no, I'm not having it.
Yes, take your vitamins.
Yes, I
That's
did. Yeah,
important.
take your vitamins.
Yeah, that's a good.
It really is.
That is very good, actually.
Yeah,
Throw that in there.
make sure you're taking your vitamins. Make sure you're taking your regular medication if you got high blood pressure, diabetes, or whatever your situation is. Make sure you're taking care of your health. Make sure that you're doing your self-care, right? And stop when you find yourself going overboard.
Yeah.
Stop.
Just cut it out. Cut it out. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up the very first segment of Encouraging Experts. I hope that you all have been encouraged to continue doing what it is that you do in this world, and know that it is okay to take care of yourself. It is okay to say that you're not okay. Charnell, I'm going to give you the last word tonight, sis.
I just want to say, I don't know what I want to say. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when we're live and you can join the conversation. I appreciate all the comments that came in, and we'll see you again next month, the 3rd Monday of each month.
Yes, please join us here. Yeah. And with that, we'll see you all next time on Speak Up Sis podcast. This is the Encouraging Experts segment every 3rd Monday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.